I would like to welcome everybody this morning. Appreciate that you join us. We're going to go through a whole bunch of slides. Just gotta let you know, it might take me a second between certain slides to switch over, just because our presentation is so large that I have to skip slides. We have like over 270 slides on this presentation, but we're going to be just concentrating in a few of them. So again, appreciate you showing up this morning, and we'll try to keep you entertained with you know, the newest of the new that we have for Digifort for 2022 and beyond. So with that, I will start. So basically, our concentration point for these last few years has been AI, deep learning, you know, applications that allow the user, the monitoring center, the security personnel, even marketing and policy enforcers for certain companies to use these technologies in order to be able to avoid situations, prevent situations, and take care of situations while they're happening. That to us is our focus. So our focus is, you know, we have to be able to give information and feed this information in a timely manner so that when we need to make a response, we have what's called an informed response, right? That can be anything from informing law enforcement the best way of entry into a building, having cameras and knowing where the bad people are located and have them not run into a situation of danger. So all of these things are being considered while we're talking about using technology for a preventive or proactive approach. So like we said, we have deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence has been the key code words and sentences that we see every single time with our, you know, within our industry or the vertical of security. Basically here. So we know that we need to, like we said, we need to discover who's out there, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. So like I said, I have to jump on the slide here, sorry. Okay, so here we go. So the timeline Digifort, for those who don't know us, basically it started in Brazil in 2001. Since then, we've had a pretty good expansion. We have over 38,000 active customers worldwide, over 3 million licenses sold, and we sell Digifort in 140 countries. One of the things that is important is that Digifort always thinks of the growth ahead, but with retroactive ability. So, you know, our latest versions continue working as we change them, you know, as we develop further forward, but also people that tend to wish to stay with certain versions, you know, even though they don't get all of the newest things in development, they still are able and capable of working with the product. So we have over 9,000, actually this has grown, it's over 12,000 devices from almost 500 manufacturers. And what does that mean? It means that we've taken the time to actually take the drivers and APIs and SDKs from those manufacturers in order to make their product really shine within Digifort without just concentrating in basically on-BIF operations, right? So speaking of that, let's go over to here. So this is where we find ourselves with physical offices in order to better serve the world around us. We have offices in North America, South America, Australia, Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, Thailand, Malaysia, as well as in Europe, UK, Ireland, France. We have an office in India, Mumbai, and Dubai. Now let's go over to slide 30. 1 second. Let me skip a little bit. Okay. So one of the things that also becomes super important is metadata. Metadata is any data that's being provided by any type of analytic or any type of software that's embedded within the product itself. And this metadata, the most important part of it is what's called data mining, right? So being able to grab that data that's being stored for an event, for an alarm event, and be able to use it and apply it for reports, and as well as for classifying the response that is going to exist within that again, sounds repetitive, data, right? So how can we use this metadata? We can use it to create dashboards. We use it to create search patterns. Let's say in LPR licenses recognition, as well as in facial biometry, this metadata is used to create sequences, meaning tracking or tracing algorithms to be able to see where that vehicle or that person has been and where did they go until the last connection, right? The last connection would be the last camera in the sequence that acquired that information. This gives investigators, police departments, at least an idea of where to start looking. So that's metadata. It's not just that. It's any data, like we said, that's being generated by some sort of analytic intervention. Okay, so from there, that's where you write your reporting mechanisms in order to help people provide reports after an event, as well as making it available to be able to sound an alarm, be able to sound a audible alarm, a note, a pre-recorded voice message. All that is created from the beginning through metadata. Okay, so alarm notification, we can do, like we said, pop-up screens. We could also generate custom alarm windows. This is super important for people that have a large building or a venue where you can customize how in the screen the alarms are provided without losing track of your main screen. So this can be done, through the basic programming that we have. Of course, it's super, super important that any software that Digifort develops is very user-friendly, right? If it becomes something that you need a master's degree in communication and computer science to manage, then we're not doing our job well. So that's super important to make it accessible and make it user-friendly for our customers to be able to interact with it as they need. Okay, so let's talk about a product that basically blends a lot of the stuff that we're talking about and making it proactive and making the population be included in their own security. So this is a product that we call Digifort Live Witness. And what it does is an app that the users can easily download through a QR code provided by the client. In this case, it could be an airport, it can be a concert venue, it can be anything where there's a population that is gathered. So that's super important at that level. So Digifort Live Witness, again, is an app that will rely within the use of an Android or iPhone. And once it's downloaded, it makes it easy for Live Witness to be able to provide identifying factors like video, audio, bidirectional audio, and GPS location of the person that is activating, let's say, the panic button or the Live Witness button on their phones. These are our concurrent channel licenses. So don't get scared, just because you have 20, 30, 40,000 people in the stadium doesn't mean you need 20,000 active licenses within the monitoring center to be able to provide this service. From our experience and speaking to a lot of large venues, we've gathered that basically all you need is, let's say for 30,000 people, no more than 20 to 35 licenses, because not all of the events occur at the exact same time chronologically, and also not all the events, you don't need 30 people giving you the same view. What we do is pick and choose the best views of the incident, right? So that we can provide that information back to our security people that are going to go and approach the problem, separate the people fighting, find out what's going on, but at least they come in with a lot of data and information. And all of this is being recorded as the phones are transmitting the information as well. So you have audible as well as visual information to be able to provide reports to the police. So that's super, super important. So like I said, it streams video, GPS location, and bidirectional. It can function via Wi-Fi or data on the phones itself. So it's not, we have some venues that have really gathered a lot of Wi-Fi points, and that's great because sometimes it goes faster. But as you know, with 5G, it's super fast, the transmission, the audio, everything is very clear, both for the user as well as for the recorded product that we have. Okay, I'm going to show you a little video.
Nowadays,
hoping you can hear it.
Public places are slowly becoming a sad, everyday reality. Public incidents involving innocent victims are dramatic and require urgency. Fortunately, we can avoid such events using modern technologies. But the truth is, what would you do in these kinds of situations? Do you know where to report it? The ability to report an incident and provide crucial information to security and law enforcement personnel is critical when every second counts. The public can be the eyes and ears everywhere to identify threats at a very early stage to help prevent a catastrophe from happening. Live Witness from Digifort offers exactly that, instant access to help, allowing first responders and security guards to get multi-angle views and audio to better assess their strategies. So you aren't worrying about what to do or if you should get involved. You're helping just by being there. On your way into the venue, you scan a QR code, and our system activates for that venue only. Live Witness from Digifort will help any public space, airports, universities, hotels, large sports venues, and more. We make sure your private life stays private because it's a time and distance-based app.
Okay, so that's a product. It's a standalone product. Also, you do not need to have a Digifort platform VMS system in order to use it. You can promote it as a product. You know, we sometimes think that it's like our foot in the door in certain venues that have already existing security, video security. Of course, we all understand that the customers are not just waiting for us to come and save their day. They have other products, but it's a good way of introducing our product to customers. And when it comes the time to change over that infrastructure that they already have existing, at least they already know what we are capable of doing. And you know, that has allowed us to actually win some projects after the fact. So that's how Digifort Live Witness functions. We have, you know, our strength, like everything else, is the integrated solutions that we have that support our platform, right? So the Digifort platform is the initial point of connection to everything. And then after that, we basically created modules that allow for the customer to pick and choose what type of analytics, what type of responses, what type of products to support their existing needs, that being perimeter alarms, that being internal POS systems, all that kind of stuff is what we call a modular approach. And also it allows us to be very price competitive because we're not throwing in everything in the kitchen sink into a product that most people would say, well, I don't need that, I don't need that, can we get a discount? You know, so it's better just to provide exactly what the customer needs. And it also allows them to program future purchases, right? Because when you make something that is fully loaded, it becomes expensive. So our experience is that people tend to buy less or less than what they actually need. So by the modular approach, it allows the user to really program based on their budgets or the yearly assignment of money from their company or the government entity that we're working with. So that's super important. Okay. Let's start a little bit with the different types of analytics. So we have a product called IPX Analytics. This is all 100% AI-based, deep learning machine based. You can choose 3 levels. You can choose PPE, you can choose general, and you can choose weapons. So we'll go a little bit over that right now. So the system can easily detect weapons that are obviously out, right? We do not detect concealed weapons. What people have to understand is the AI is basically like us and our eyes. What we can see, they can see. Okay, there is no pixie dust there to make magic happen. So this is part of what we call the proactive approach, right? You see somebody without wearing a mask, let the security personnel know. You see somebody that has fallen out on the shopping center, out on a field, right away you can send help to them. You don't have to wait for somebody that's walking by them to report it or call 911. You can move rapidly through the process of assisting the public. So fall detection, crowd, social distancing, and the same algorithm can be used also to be able to detect when there's a group of people suddenly gathering, right? So normally that we know that when somebody like group of 5, 10, 12 people start gathering, something is going on. So it allows us to go and look in the camera, zoom in with PTZs and see if there's something that we should be concerned with, or it's just a gathering, right? Gatherings do happen, right? With no threat. So again, there's a lot of naming and stuff, neural networks, but basically it's all part of the same grouping. I told you a few seconds ago that we have 3. We separate the events or the licenses in 3 ways. So we have objects, and we keep growing this list. As we develop the list of the objects, all our users get updated, right? That's an important thing. So we can detect people and cell phones, people and backpacks, only backpacks, handbags, suitcases, laptops, cell phones. It's super important in certain instances that you don't want people using cell phones in a restricted area. Fork, knife, spoons, things like that. We're constantly teaching the machine to read these items. Then we also have the same thing within that general. We can detect vehicle types: car, motorcycle, bus, truck. Why is this important? Because we can also gather a couple of these search patterns for the users to know. So for example, do we want a person walking where there's heavy machinery working? No, we don't, because person versus machine, who loses? Person. So we can run algorithms, let's say in warehouses, delivery warehouses. We don't want the use of forklifts while there's people working there. So if there's going to be a use, we want to know before something happens that there's a forklift where people are working, so that we can call by radio and either allow people to depart the area and let the forklift continue working, or ask the operator to stop while they're gathering packaging, or they're gathering, filling up an order, like the big warehouses do, that you have storage bins, and they have to be walking through that in order to put up all the product that's being ordered by the clients. The same thing again for analytics, in the sense we can detect here if there's people in the control area. We're working on more detection for animals. Funny enough, we're asked by HOAs and other similar groups where there's no pets allowed in the backyard, or they want to know if the pet is pooping in the thing. I mean, we can't go that far, but we can at least tell them that there's an animal present, and then they can pay attention if the owner is not picking up after their pet. So it can be for very very unique uses to very complicated assignments of the analytic, right? So okay, we have analytics that detect fire and smoke. We do not ask customers to change their whole fire policies, right? This is just an additional weapon against fire and smoke. But we will not replace ever the existing fire and smoke policies and applications, panels. That is a must. So we do not subscribe or ask people to say, hey, if you do this, you don't need your fire protection. No, it is not the way that it works. Here, it just gives us normally a faster response to these because we can detect from the lighting of the match or lighting of the fire source, right? So sometimes when you have your smoke detectors or your fire detectors, thermal detectors, and they're, I don't know, 30, 40 feet up in the air in a warehouse, we can detect it a lot sooner than those other devices can do it. So it's just an additional safety measure, but it's not a replacement. Okay, we have to make that clear. We do not say just replace. Okay, solutions for industry. These are developments that people have asked us to work with, so we can detect, fill machines and fill quantities and know when, for example, a glass is above the limit of fill, below the limit of fill. This is all functioning already algorithms that, based on customers' needs, they're developed. So we are not afraid of development, but as you know, there's got to be a reasonable return of investment. So if you have an opportunity where your customer has a very particular manufacturing process or industrial process, we can look into it. Some of the algorithms we've developed have been like this, that's liquid. Also for mining, it's important because a lot of times you have these gigantic machines that come half full or half empty, depending your attitude, right? We don't know what's the positive or the negative, but we can detect also loads within a truck or machinery for mining. We can detect glove use by normally assigning a color, right? We don't know it's a glove. Normally we will say hand, but we can say that if it's a hand that's yellow, that's not normal. That means that they are wearing the glove. So we can assess the alarm based on usage or non-usage of elements such as gloves. This is mostly for PPE, right? Object detection. So we can detect also lab coats in the sense, right? We're detecting lab coats based on teaching what the lab coat is for that particular use. Normally hospitals and stuff use one or two different types of coats for the medical staff. That all has to be machine learned, okay? And you see that also color is important for that deep learning. Object-based analytics, again, we're talking about wearing a vest or not wearing a vest. It's not that we're teaching it what a vest is. The end user will be using certain colors to detect. So basically what we're detecting more than anything is the color, more than just saying it's a vest, yellow vest. But things get improved. So it's a matter of time for all of this to be learned. The other thing we're working with, and actually this was from 2021, the beginning, is we're doing exoskeleton, so that now we can measure the amount of raising the arm, maybe somebody's floating in water and shaking their hands up and down. Now we know that that's a stress level, things of that sort. So the skeleton helps us to better determine human behavior. So, you know, this is an important advancement. You know, we're not the only ones doing this, as you know. I'm just reviewing it, but please don't take it like anything that I talk about is unique to us. We feel we do it very well. We do it at a very affordable price. But, you know, I don't want you to go with the impression that Ari told me that they invented this. No, we don't invent things. We try to improve them and apply them properly to the industries that we serve, which basically we work with all sort of verticals, stadiums. If we have a little time at the end, I have a little slide presentation of case studies. So this is, we're working again on light changing the algorithms. So whenever there's a red light, we will know it's red, yellow, or green. Again, that's for traffic management use. Okay, so we have another type of algorithm for working, which is VCA. It's a partner of ours. So this tends to have different types of responses, right? Like item left behind. That's more a VCA type analytic. Item removed is another that works. You can see here, you know, by zones, presence, tailgating, abandoned object, you know, museum mode, face detection. That's super important just to mention real quick to you that there's a difference between what face detection and face biometry or face recognition. Face detection has been around for quite a time, and what it does is it allows the system to detect the face. So saying this is a human because it has a face. It is not a car, or it's not you know, something else. It's a face, but it doesn't mean that you're having a face recognition algorithm. So be careful when you quote or when you price this with whomever you're doing it, to make sure that if they make a mistake and they say face detection, but they mean facial biometry or vice versa, that you know exactly what you're getting into, so that you don't get surprises at the end of the day. So again, we have several engines that we work with. We don't develop our own license plate recognition. ARH, Neuralabs, Open ALPR, FE Group, which is an edge device algorithm. And we do work with both types, machine or server-based LPR, as well as edge-based LPR. So if you have a particular camera manufacturer that has embedded LPR mechanisms, we work with that. That's just called an edge license for us. And we interpret that data directly into our server, giving you the full reporting mechanisms that you would if you had a server-based LPR. Okay. Again, a lot of these new LPR engines can allow us to classify vehicles as sedans, trucks, manufacturer, model, colors, you know, direction of travel, country. So it makes it a lot easier, especially when countries are very close together one to another, like the European Union. You know, if you have a EU plate versus a Italy plate or whatever, it will be able to give you a report based on plate origin, classification, speed, categories that you might be reprogramming, manufacturing models. It's getting more and more common. It's not easy, and sometimes it requires extra hardware like GPU boards, because a lot of these algorithms will work based on GPU and not on CPU. So also super important before you make an offer to have your customers understand that there might need to be changes in hardware reflected with the changes of the software that is being implemented, the new technologies, okay? So that's super important to note as well, and let your customers know, because that is part of their investment, right? Hardware, software. Digifort only does software. We will, for those of you that don't know us, based on the project that you have, will be very involved with you. Normally this happens between, EPCOM and Digifort and your engineers, and then we help you to determine the best case scenario for use of hardware to minimize cost but maximize productivity. Okay, so that's part of our commitment as the manufacturers of the software and the application of the modules. Okay, so we can also recognize container codes and container reads for NLPR. Obviously, you can combine that with LPR. We also, this was an internal development of Digifort coming out of our office in Argentina. So what was developed is a dashboard LPR signage application. So you can see how it identifies the different plates, and then what it does, it reports them up on bridges or screens so that people can know that you're being watched, right? So here in the top one says welcome, like when somebody enters from a freeway or a highway into a populated area, you can put little messages, I saw you, this is your plate, please drive carefully or follow the rules and regulations. So that's just something that's being used right now in certain applications for Digifort, and it is internal. You can ask for it, and it's a cool addition to what you're selling already. Okay. Again, we can display various messages by just knowing what the plate is, as well as the speed that they're driving, or if there's construction ahead. It personalizes the information, right? If you're using this in a condominium complex or anything like that, then you can use it as a welcome to the condominium, especially for the owners. The HOA will say, thank you, Mr. Levy, platinum guest, or a hotel, or any venue that has guests coming all the time, right? So it can be also a marketing tool. Biometric usage, right? We spoke about the difference between face recognition and facial biometry. So the face, it's just the face as a face, I'm a human. But when you take it a step further, the algorithm that we use is Safer, which is a real networks company. We've been working with them since their early stages of sales within the industry. We work very closely together with them in development and usage, and we're very happy. It is probably the fastest and most efficient algorithm out there. If you need to verify that, or if you say these words I just said, and then your customer says, well, can you prove it? Obviously, you're a salesperson, you're going to tell me that's the best. That's our job, right? But if you go into the Department of Commerce website, and you go into Nits, the National Institute of Science and Technology, they have reports of every single type of biometry that's out there worldwide, and they're rated. And Safer has come up as the #1 algorithm in what's called wild face detection. So wild face detection is when the world is not perfect, and we know that that's always. So low lighting, not looking straight at the camera physically, changes on the person. When we have their profile, they had a beard, a mustache, a hat, glasses. Now they did surgery in their eyes, they shaved their face, they're not wearing a hat. All these things that change constantly, Safer has proven to be, basically they're at 99.98% or 88% detection. We can detect also not only the face and place it properly into a database if we're just gathering data, for later forensic applications, but we can also create positive and negative lists. So positive list would probably work in an access control situation, let them in, open the gate, open the door. In the negative side, if the person is already in the list, again, a negative list, is advised that that person is in the field, is in the building. Be careful. He is known to carry a weapon. Whatever information you want to feed to the control room, and also it offers as part of the license gender, age, and sentiment detection. What that means is that we can detect male or female, and you can see in the left screen the little icon for gender, male. Age, there's a range of error of about 3.8 years, like 4 years up or down normally. And then sentiment is very peculiar because we can detect not only with the icon of a smile or person not smiling or person sad by a category of numbers. So you can go negative, and negative obviously is bad. Positive is good. You can pretty much say, hey, this person looks super nervous. You know, maybe you have this at the airport. You know, normally people are nervous of flying, but let's say that's a nervousness of 3, and this person's in the 22 range, right? So you might want to stop and question or speak to that person, and you know, the security personnel can introduce themselves and then just gather more information by asking the person questions, right? So this is very preventive. Remember, that's what we're talking about today, is using science and technology for preventing situations. We know that we can always use it forensically because it's there, but proactive means let's talk to this person, find out why they're sad, why they're nervous, and ascertain the level of concern that we should have, or urgency of that person continuing on, or ask him to follow you for further determination, right? That's super important. Okay, that just covers a little bit. Remember the world conditions. We've been able to also in festivals detect people using face paint as well, which is pretty cool. This was just used in Mexico City, which, you know, Mexico is a very religious country, and they had the Virgin Mary visitation on the 11th of December, and Safer was there doing reads, and they were able to identify, this is crowds of thousands of people over 3 days, and they actually recognized like 15 of the most, you know, not the most wanted, but per se the expression, wanted people by the federal police and stuff like that, which was very interesting. You know, a case study. Okay, you can see that we can either gather information through even a picture or a phone. We can tell who that person is, but we do have alarms because you see that little thing on the right, it's an access control, right? They're putting a photo in front of it, and that's a very common thing. Even though the industry has developed more algorithms to try to see that, we can actually program the mechanism to say, please smile for me, because we can actually allow the access control to not only to recognize the person, but to add a further security. You can say, please smile for me, or good morning, give me a smile. And the mechanism can detect that it's no longer a static photograph, right? A photograph doesn't smile. So that's super important right there. Okay, we spoke about Nits. There's the National Institute of Standards and Technology. You know, you can read those things. It's super complicated, but you can see here that we're basically the #1 algorithm out there, in contrast with, you know, all of the other ones. and you can, you can run your own investigations, but we can safely say that this is number one. We said 99.87% accuracy. The response time is super important for these algorithms, right? So it's less than 100 milliseconds. We can do multiple people at the same time. So let's, that's another important factor of this, right? People don't go by themselves all the time. There's 10, 15, groups of 20, 30, and we can detect most of them if the camera is positioned properly, if everything is followed to spec. That increases tremendously the detection rate, right? We cannot use, if a city says, hey, we already have the infrastructure built for this, and then you find out, yes, they have 150 cameras in downtown, but the cameras are mounted 10, 15 feet up in the air, and now they want you to use those for LPR and facial biometry. Sorry, it will not work, right? There's a different angle to detect the face, there's a different angle to detect a license plate. So I'm going to be able to see the license plate and the shoes or the kneecaps of the person. If I go to facial, I'm going to be able to see the face, but I'm going to be able to see the top of the roof of the vehicle or the color. So it's super important to let customers know that there is a protocol to follow to maximize those reads, and many times it's going to require change of infrastructure and equipment. Okay, so that's super important. Let me now do another skip. Okay. Some of the integrations that we have a really good relationship with a company called C2P. They started in the development of point of sale data. They have a very peculiar way of reporting, and I can tell you based on what they've told us that the integration with Digifort is the best integration they have with any other product out there, because of the way that we handle the reporting and the way that we handle the alarm events. So the Digifort Global Events report directly the cameras as well as the data that's being reported, and as well we have a mechanism of reporting a incident. So if somebody is deleting product from the screen several times, that will create an alarm event to the manager, right? Like saying, hey, something's not good with Mary in position number 3, because it's the 3rd time in a row that she deletes the same cigarettes or the same whiskey bottle. So things of that nature are reported easily with the product that we have included with C2P. Again, these are modules. Remember, a lot of times people keep asking, oh, so this is included in your platform? No, it's a module that can be used with our platform, but it's directly related to the requirement of your customer. So the advantage that we have with this product is that we've been developing with them now separate applications. So for example, ATM machines. We just finished our first deployment in El Salvador with Banco del Occidente, and we did all 97 of their ATMs. Some of them were debold, some of them were NCR, and we work with both now. And the way that it works is it allows the bank to know exactly how many times the same person uses their card, if the card is being presented several times in the same machine, if that card is being presented geographically within the same range several times. That's not a normal behavior, right? If you put your card once, you pull $20 or whatever, that's it. But if it goes in I don't know, street 1A, and then they go to the next ATM in street Revolution or whatever, you know that pattern is not normal. So that can report also an alert to freeze the card, for example. Okay. POS, most of you guys are familiar, is point of sale. It's used. We present the information digitally, so it's not OCR. So it occupies a lot less space and it's a lot quicker. So it's hypermedia. It's called hypermedia, and it allows to search quickly over video instead of having to go over and do conversions of OCR. Okay, so that's how that works. Again, just a little more how the transaction is shown at the top. There it is, the ATM that we talked about. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Now, let me skip one more time. Sorry for the skipping, but otherwise we would be here forever. Okay. Did I do right? 66? No, I did not. Sorry. Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about mobile applications. Again, we're trying to take the security out of the office, right? So people, most of the times, they don't have that many people working in their security offices. So it's hard to keep people in and also be out on the field taking care of situations. So we have designed our mobile application to work with a lot of additional apps. So mobile client is our, like it says, it's our mobile application of clients, just like the software used on the PCs. It allows you to review live video. It allows you to review playback video. It allows you to send from the phone to the center of security. It allows you to send views of cameras directly to the monitoring center. It allows you to also interact with IOs. So if your user rights allow, you will be able to open the door, turn on the light. So it becomes very useful when you have to split your time between being in your office and being out on the field. Okay. We have also, this is something new for our last version. We also have bidirectional audio. If you have the connection active, you have to activate it. You can actually talk from your phone, almost like if it was a walkie-talkie. You can talk to the person on the control center by activating the bidirectional audio between the phone app and the desktop app. Okay, and like I said, you can share an image in picture, and this is important because if you have 30 or 40 security guards and you have detected something going on, you can quickly send a message to the group saying, hey, this is a person of interest. And instead of saying by the radio, oh, we have a white male, 6 feet 2 inches approximately, wearing a white shirt. A lot easier if you actually capture a photograph. You know, a picture paints 1,000 words. Correct? Okay. This is the alarm events that I told you about that allows you to, from your phone, to open a door, turn on the light, open the garage. It allows us to do several searches, like thumbnail search playback, and it's a slider in the bottom. Here's what I was telling you about the virtual matrix to send images, and also you can send the playback. So playback means that when you transfer that camera to the screen, it will transfer the camera during the playback mode of the time that you have chosen. So it already comes ready to search. Okay. Mobile Camera Pro is another addition to our line of products for phones. It's very similar to Live Witness. It transmits video via H.264. It transmits GPS location, bidirectional audio, and allows for you to select the front or back camera, as well as the GPS reports directly to a live Google Map interface with a plugin of Google Maps. So if you were driving with the phone on, showing the video, the little phone would show in the map moving. I think it sends a ping every 30 seconds, something like that, as a message. Okay. And here's what I was talking about. There's the phone at the top, and you see how the map keeps adapting the motion of the vehicle. We also have the ability to use the phone for mobile LPR. What that means is you need to activate an additional license channel, but that phone can do several things. You can capture an image and send it for them to give you feedback right away on your phone. You can do manual entry if you write in front of it where it says plate, or you can activate a video continuum service that as you're walking by the car, it will automatically adapt to that and send you that information. Okay, so again, it reacts to mobile, the phone as well. We have an app for facial recognition. This app, really what it does is basically you're activating each phone as if it was a camera for that purpose only. But it's very useful because when you're interviewing people out in the field and they're telling you their name, but they don't want to show you ID, you pull your phone and you can quickly connect via Wi-Fi or via data from the phone, and you will get a response immediately if that person is in the system and their real name, right? Male, sentiment, and name. Green means positive, he's in a positive list. Red means negative list. And then purple means not on the list. And you can add it immediately, even from the phone, back to the general database. Okay. And you can see here just how it works, how quickly the reporting comes. Now, I know we're coming to the time that we set up for you guys. We don't want to take a lot of the time. Just if you can let the EPCOM people, Victor, know if you want me to go over some of the case studies. I'll be more than happy for the people that can stay with us a little bit longer. But this concludes the general presentation of Digifort. And if you wish, I can go on to just showing some case studies around the world. Victor, I don't know if...
Thank you, Ari.